us how vaccines like the tetanus or diphtheria booster help protect the brain.
Yeah, so these vaccines don't just prevent infections, they also train the immune system to stay balanced. By reducing background inflammation in the body, they can lower the kind of chronic inflammation that damages brain cells over time. That's likely why people who stay up to date on tetanus boosters have a lower risk of dementia and Parkinson's disease.
Why do the flu and pneumonia shots work even better when you get both?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We know that from data looking at this, that it seems as though each prevents or decreases the severity of infections that can cause inflammation and stress on blood vessels. And together they reduce overall inflammation and protect the blood flow to the brain. Studies show that people who get both of the vaccines are less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease than those who skip them.
How can the shingles vaccine help lower dementia risk?
Yeah, so the issue with this is that the shingles vaccine seems to decrease the likelihood of the virus reactivating, or if it does, potentially makes it less severe. And when it does wake up, it has the ability to inflame nerves that trigger other viruses linked to Alzheimer's disease, especially in people that have the ApoE4 disease. So preventing this reactivation is going to help prevent inflammation, nerve damage, and thus protect brain health.
The RSV vaccine is new. How might it help healthy aging?
Now, we don't have as much data on this one because it's new. And I think it's much the same as with the other vaccines, and that this is a illness as people get older, can cause significant heart and lung issues and cause a lot of inflammation. So simply preventing that whole process or minimizing the severity of it through vaccination is part of a longevity strategy and probably a reasonable vaccine to get in people that are at risk, particularly those over 60 and those who have underlying respiratory illness.
You mentioned inflammation as a common link. How do vaccines help reduce it?
Yeah, definitely it's a big part of this is that every time you have a significant inflammatory process through your body, it ends up damaging blood vessels and activating the brain's immune cells. And this does damage to neurons. Vaccines can prevent the infections or decrease how severe they're going to be and keep inflammation lower and the brain's environment healthier.
The research looks at large populations. How do you use this information for individual patients?
Yeah, there's quite a bit to this, in that you have to take a look at the patient who's in front of you and what their risk profile is. If somebody has significant asthma or they have COPD, we would be looking at getting vaccines for a lot of the respiratory viruses at a younger age and maybe giving more boosters than even the manufacturer recommends. For people that have an ApoE4, we know that they're at increased rate of dementia, and getting a shingles vaccine maybe earlier, maybe even having an additional course of it might be a reasonable thing. People who are at risk of getting Parkinson's disease, so more so in males and more those that have other risk factors for it, may benefit more from getting tetanus immunizations fairly frequently. So it is something where we do customize it to some degree, but generally the big thing is as people get older, they're going to be more prone to having dysfunction and inflammation as they get viral infections. And this is a reasonable way to protect from going through that inflammatory process.
I noticed you didn't mention the COVID vaccine. Does it help with longevity or brain health, such as reducing dementia or Parkinson's?
We don't know the answer to that question yet, but it is something where I think that much as with the other vaccines is if you're able to prevent an inflammatory process, then it's going to be a beneficial thing for the brain and the rest of the body. There's been a lot of debate around the COVID vaccine, mostly due to political issues and questions around whether mRNA vaccines are safe and whether there's unknown risks with them. And there may or may not be anything to that, but it is something where it has been an interesting and controversial vaccine. But overall, for people that are at higher risk, especially those that are older, it seems a reasonable part of a longevity strategy to get this vaccine.